Welcome back on board the Starship, and by popular demand we are featuring Ulysses again, the Starship pet. Now, earlier this year I met up with a chap called Mick Toms, who's a very keen UFO enthusiast. He goes to a lot of UFO conferences, and I met up with him because he wanted to talk to me about a case in a place called Llanilar, which is in West Wales near Aberystwyth. This happened in 1983, and in this particular case there were fragments of this UFO were found, and they were split up and given to various individuals, and Mick brought along a piece of this UFO to show me. Now the question is, was this merely a secret military craft, or perhaps was it something more exotic?
Conference at Blackpool in 2000, year 2000. Gary Rowe came. He was the chief investigator after the crash, but he brought along fragments and big pieces of this alleged UFO crash, which explains it was 1983, and military came along, the police came along and removed 4 fields of debris, and the farmer he said he never heard the bang from the night before, and he presumed it was the night before because there was no sign of it before when he took his sheep in.
The military, when you say removed 4 fields, they actually uprooted all of the vegetation that were in those fields and took that away, am I right in thinking?
Yeah, well at first it appears as though they cleared the fields as thorough as they could all around there. There was at least 4 football fields of this debris, as Gary Rowe told us, and it was in Llanilar, just not far from Aberystwyth. And at first the police was involved, but they brought I think the military and some plainclothes people up. But within, they kept it closed off most of the day, and that was the end of the story so far, until Gary had a chance to get with a few of his men in and get searching for any parts and debris like if they'd left on. They was very unlucky because they spent most of the day looking for the debris, but only late at night they come across this great big chunk, which I've got some photographs of.
Okay. So you're just going to lay those out?
Yeah, lay those out because it was, you can see it was sort of...
And what sort of size are we talking about, that particular chunk? Those 2 photographs are of the same chunk?
Yeah, the same chunk and the condensed stuff. There was like a honeycomb metal and a darkish grey area. On the other side was a very dark green, with a honeycomb effect. And
so they can see there was, that's why he's actually cut a little piece off.
He cut a piece off so we could spread the evidence, so to speak, and everybody has a piece of it. So if anything happened, then at least people could come forward. There must be at least 100 pieces of small pieces, but I got quite a large piece because I lost a small piece, which was crazy anyhow. And
so you're just going to unwrap that now?
Yeah, I'll unwrap the piece I've got. I think it's either that one or similar to it. And now that's the piece there, this unidentified stuff. I don't know if you can actually, you can see that there's a honeycomb effect on the back, and the darker, I'll put it on.
It looks kind of dark green on the top.
Dark green, yeah. It's duralumin. It was tested.
So it was tested and it was found to be duralumin.
Duralumin, yeah.
Pure duralumin?
Very pure. So one of, I think Gary did have some of his men to RAF contact to test the purity of it, and it was very pure duralumin. So. There were no claimers of this, whatever happened there. There was no claimers to this crash who owned it or what it was. And
do you want to just turn that over and we'll have a look at the pattern on the other side?
Yeah.
Sort of a straight, sort of a flat green finish on one side.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like a tyre imprint or some kind of honeycomb. Do you want to just
it's embossed.
Tilt it towards the camera?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Twist around so we can show the thickness, show us the thickness of it.
The thickness is only about, what's that, not very thick.
A millimetre maybe?
Probably 32th, or not even 16th, I think half that, 32, whatever they call it. Well, it's more than,
So it's very thin.
Very thin.
So it's duralium. Now, what do you know about duralium, Mick? Do you know?
Well, I have no idea, but I believe it's used in some crafts what they have, maybe military. But yeah, because there was no engine found. There was no engine, and all this was shattered like glass. Most of it. There was just one or two pieces which was concave. It must have come down at an angle because it took all the tops of the trees down. So. And then spread in 4 fields, but I can't understand anybody not hearing it. The farmer, he never heard it in the middle of the night. It must have come down at the night time, but they never heard it, and he was just sort of gobsmacked when he come in. They said 4 fields of all this aluminium and foil, no engine, nothing what looked like a plane. So obviously,
do you know if the farmer was compensated or anything, or?
I don't know that. I don't think he was really. It's an amazing case because. They said there should have been bodies and an engine and places like that, but there were obviously nothing like. Yeah. So whatever it is, it's a mystery, and as far as I know, I think it's still a mystery like. But if it's military, then sure the military claim it. If it's some unknown, then some unknown. They should still tell all the farmers around there that's what happened, because they still haven't had an answer 26 years ago. So everybody's in. Sort of wondering what went on at the time, so we don't know what happened.
And we were talking in the car earlier on, and you mentioned a case where somebody witnessed a hole open up in the ground somewhere in South Wales.
Oh yeah, that'd be that story goes back to Ripperston Farm at the time of around the early 70s it'd be. And there was all sorts of strange goings on there.
What area of Wales is that?
It would be close to, on the Pembrokeshire Coast Path, close to St Martin's, I think. St Martin's around there. There's a stretch of coastline there, which Ripperston Farm's probably about a mile away from Stack Rocks. Stack Rocks, where they was seen a person walking on in a silver suit, tallest person, around the rocks. Well, it's virtually impossible, to get to them rocks. It's about so deep, and then it seemed to disappear as though an hole came in the rocks, and some doorway, and then they disappeared. Then and they completely went. And that was.
So this was a being.
This was a being, yeah. And they must have estimated a fairly tall being, because of the distance from the shoreline to the rocks. But there were lots of strange things going on at the time of Wales, around the school children who've seen UFO in the schoolyard, and they thought that they were kidding everybody. But when they found out it wasn't a lorry, it was definitely something what was there, an object, and there were spacemen seen. But incidents took place in this part of Wales, around the Welsh Triangle they called it. Fascinating stuff.
And something else that you brought with you today was there was a security guard who worked for President Kennedy.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Just tell us about that, Mick.
Now, another conference, that we went to many a conference, but I think this was a conference at Lytham near Blackpool a long time ago. William Holden, he was a military man, and at the time, when he was 19, he was on a plane with President Kennedy. He was like put in a newspaper article on his the front headlines of on his desk to read, on the flight, and on it is a picture of UFO flying over Germany, and he asks the young cadet, "Well, what do you make of it?" And the young cadet at the time, he said, "Well, what do you make of it, Mr. President?" He said, "I asked you first, So obviously, I asked you.
To the tape.
Yeah, the tapes are quite interesting, really. They're audio tapes, and he didn't have the tapes just for making money. He was a genuine soldier who wanted some truth going on. But on the tapes, there's some landings of alien beings on the airfield, So he was witness to that, and it was at a distance, so he could only make out the general appearance of the craft and these beings. But it's recorded there, and I don't think a military man of his repute would lie,
And your interest goes back further than that. It goes back to the 60s, doesn't it?
Yeah, 60s.
What first got you into it then?
First got boots of 1960, I think the first one were Laurel Carens and something like that, 1969, and way before Van Doniken came out. But Van Doniken broke the boundaries because he was more like spaceships from other planets and we'd been invaded, which was you know, sensational at the time. But we were just thinking that there's crafts in the sky, which in the 60s that's all there were. We could saw crafts in the sky and what they were like, you know. But more of everybody's gone more into depth since Van Doniken opened the floodgates, and not necessarily everything he said is right, but he does open a few posing questions of what the material is researched.
Yeah.
But
what's gone on before millennium?
In past millennium, and a recent researcher, Early, I think he's called, Michael Early, someone Early, he's brought about ancient astronauts. He's brought photographs of paintings from 1700 and odd with crafts on there, exactly as you'd see them today, which is quite a lot of ancient cave paintings with cat crafts and Australian ones with big, there's all sorts of information of which was passed down through history, and we've interpreted them wrong, you know, so obviously there's more need for research, you know, especially in ancient stuff, really. You can find just as much interesting stuff there. I think history along with it and what's going on all around is relevant to some of this material, what we've got coming today. Okay. Yeah.
All right then, Mick. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks again, Richard.
Anything else you want to add? It's time now for the Artist of the Week. And this week we're featuring again the band Not Peart, who've written a new track called In Essence. Now this title is a reference, I believe, to a previous Starship guest called John Duffield. Now, unfortunately, I gave Not Peart some access to some video of me doing some extremely bad dancing. Some people refer to it as dad dancing, and they've incorporated it into their video.